It had been snowing for several months. In the heavy snow, I rescued a dying twin fox. I always thought that Palu was naturally indifferent. So Shen Yuchu didn't like my touch. Later, I found out that Shen Yuchu resented me. He resented me for taking him in. It turned out that back in that heavy snowfall, both of them fell for my cousin at first sight. I was never his salvation. Mikai and Shen Yuchu are the pair of twin foxes that my cousin and I rescued from the underground black market. My cousin and I looked at the two scruffy little cubs and decided that each of us would adopt one. I took Shen Yuchu with me. My cousin took Mikai. And just like that, 13 years passed. I always believed that even if Shen Yuchu didn't like me, he would still be grateful for my kindness. When I accidentally overheard his conversation with other Palu, someone asked Shen Yuchu, "He treats you pretty well. Then why are you so cold towards him?" Shen Yuchu sneered. "Who would want him to be nice to me? Shen Yuchu, you just don't appreciate the blessings you have." Then I really should thank Gu Wein properly. Because if he hadn't taken him away first, I now should be the one by Zhu Ruzuo's side, the one who truly understands. Compared to Mazuri, Gu Wein looks remarkably plain. I suddenly recalled that night 13 years ago. Shen Yuchu looked at the sparkle lighting up the eyes of my cousin and me, brighter than the stars in the sky. More dazzling. That was the reason I chose him. And also the beginning of his resentment towards me. A sudden piercing pain hit me. Years of walking on a tightrope of emotions collapsed into ruin in that moment. I sat on the living room sofa, listlessly, until midnight, staring at the round face of the young man in it. A face I'd always thought was just average, with its dull skin. But now, the more I looked, the uglier it seemed. I despised it and pushed the mirror aside, yet couldn't help picking it up again. Thinking of my cousin's sunny, handsome smile, I lowered my head, letting feelings of inferiority engulf me. Then someone opened the door. A voice sounded. Shen Yuchu entered, reeking of alcohol, giving me only a brief and different glance, before turning to head into the bedroom. I brushed my tears away with the back of my hand, and for the first time, I got up and grabbed his tail. But Shen Yuchu instantly swatted my hand away. He stepped back, and his voice turned ice cold. "Don't touch me," just like the reaction I got the first time I tried to touch him. I had assumed his distance was due to his natural indifference, but in reality, it was simply his disgust. After all, once I picked up Shen Yuchu and cared for him diligently for 13 years, I couldn't help but laugh at myself in self-mockery. Apparently, those who aren't handsome don't even deserve to have their sincerity taken seriously by others. I lost track of when tears began to fall to the floor. When I looked up again, I was alone in the living room. Tears fell like beads from a broken string, dripping non-stop. An immense silent despair enveloped me, inevitably making me recall how our school used to regularly hold garden parties. I would lug a huge pot of beef into the yard to find Shen Yuchu. "Shen Yuchu, for this school garden party, will you accompany me?" Shen Yuchu stuck his head out of the swimming pool and said, "Not going. After all, so many people have already brought things from home. Not going. If you want to, you can always adopt a new Palu." So I ended up going to the garden parties alone every time. Back then, I stood in a corner watching Mikai, whose face resembled Shen Yuchu's. Yet he smiled so gently. Leaning on my cousin's shoulder, Mikai asked him, "Hey, do you want that little teddy bear?" My cousin smiled and nodded, lowering his head to kiss his beard. And Mikai would always tiptoe. For cousin's sake, I was peering like a thief, longing for my cousin's life, afraid of being discovered. But one time, Xiang Zhutian, along with his little brother, knocked me down to the ground. At that moment, I was in a panic. Xiang Zhutian's voice dripped with sarcasm. "Isn't that Gu Yan the top student in our class? Why isn't your little Palu coming out with you?" His little brother, armed with a gun. Gu Weyan's Palu, while the Zuri Families was the twin teapot. In the end, the older sister ended up with a handsome guy, and the younger sister went with a guy with a round face. I wouldn't have shown up either. Refusing to back down, I gritted my teeth, stood up, and swung at Xiang Zhutian's little brother's face. After I knocked Xiang Zhutian's little brother down, Xiang Zuotian lunged at me, trying to hit me, but I pinned him down and struck him. In the end, my parents were called. I had originally thought my mom would be on my side, but instead, she complained in front of the teacher and Xiang Zhutian. "Your classmates went wrong, telling you not to hit others." I tugged at my mom's leg in a low voice, but mom, as if she hadn't heard, continued, "He wasn't handsome to begin with, and he has such a bad temper. She even put so little heart into raising Palu for you. How did I end up with so many nerds like you? Sometimes I even wish my son were Zuri." I don't know how I ended up becoming one of those formulaic types. I only remember crying in the park all night. When I got home, I was greeted by my dad spanking me, and his remark, "I truly regret having so many of you." I spent the whole night in the living room. When the first ray of sunlight streamed in, I instinctively flinched. When I curled up in my own, dimly lit bedroom, I finally felt a bit of comfort. I closed my eyes and fell into a deep sleep. The upside-down schedule left me waking up, with a mind as blank as can be. After a brief moment of illusion, when I opened the door to go out, I realized it was dusk. Shen Yuchu had already gone out. Yet every corner of the room still smelled of him. I casually ate a bowl of noodles and cleaned away all my belongings from the room. In truth, there wasn't much of mine there to begin with. After I got into college at 18, I had already fled from home. I was afraid that my parents would treat Shen Yuchu poorly, so I ended up bringing him along too. Shen Yuchu always maintained that attitude, neither fully accepting nor rejecting. Of course, that isn't entirely true. He would push away my touch, my hugs. At my lowest, I could barely even afford a room. He slept on the bed, while I ended up crashing on the sofa. Shen Yuchu, just over 1.6 meters tall, snuggled up in a 3.5 meter bed. So I worked day and night to earn enough to buy a small 3-bedroom apartment. I figured I only had Shen Yuchu. Even if she's a bit cold, she'll always be the little fox I rescued. Love's an enduring debt. So, I bought her so many things. I never thought she wouldn't want this love at all. I decided to set her free. I packed my bags, tightened my mask, and then left the home that Shen Yuchu and I once shared. The streetlights were on. I parked my car haphazardly along the roadside, got out, and wandered aimlessly, walking because I love taking walks. Shen Yuchu also loved walking, but he never liked walking with me. Only my cousin when he was in his camouflage did. Only then would he be with me. I should have discovered it sooner. Shen Yuchu's tail, always drooping normally, only began spinning excitedly at that moment. I thought it was because he missed Nikkei too much. A blast of a horn yanked me out of my memories. I looked up blankly, and saw other pairs coming to pick up their owners. It was a warmth I had never experienced before. I stood here all alone, like a clown at a performance. The next morning, when the staff confirmed for the third time whether I wanted to end my relationship with Shen Yuchu, I still nodded. When humans unilaterally sever the adoptive bond with a paru, economic compensation is required. I handed over that small 3-room apartment to the lovely lady at his office to finalize the breakup. When she returned it to me, she asked, "Mr. Gu, did you personally hand this from Miss Shen to him? Or should we deliver it?" I took out the letter I had written and revised last night. "You deliver it," I said, "and please also hand this to him as well." The letter contained only 2 sentences. Before you could even agree, Kya Shen Yuchu took you away. So this time, I'm giving you back your freedom. I left the paru office and drove away from the city. My new life was to be in a place facing the sea, awaiting the blossoming of spring. Because the new job is as a lecturer at a coastal university, I rented a seaside courtyard in that city. The evening sea breeze was perfectly refreshing. I strolled along the beach with my mask on. The orange sunset was just right. I took some photos. Out of habit, I opened the chat window with Shen Luchu. Scrolling up, it was all my rambling. There were photos of cute trinkets I had shared, strange clouds on the horizon, and the blooming of a flower. It scarcely bothered me. I brushed it off with a curt thanks. The final record stopped on the day I heard him confess the truth. I asked him, "Where are you? I'm coming to pick you up and take you home." But he still didn't answer. He probably had already received the termination certificate. Yet he didn't even say goodbye. All that remained was a heart densely filled with sourness. After thinking it over, I felt that my new life shouldn't be connected to the old. So I broke all ties, and I changed my SIM card, and reapplied for my social media accounts. Tonight I just couldn't sleep. The night was cool as water. Moonlight poured down. It's my favorite moment. After my mother once publicly exposed my scars in the office, Tian shamelessly mocked me for my ugliness. Gu Wuyan was labeled nothing but an ugly nerd. Not even his own mother liked him. I had no rebuttal, because he was telling the truth. I could only wait for nightfall, to hide and weep silently in the dark. At that moment Shen appeared again, standing in the courtyard. I'd finished crying on the balcony, and he was also standing in the courtyard. I had once mistaken his silent presence for companionship. Perhaps he was only half there with me, hiding his sorrow in the darkness. Besides my job as a lecturer, I also had my own projects to finish. Later, I would run a lap by the sea, then come back to write. I packed my schedule full, in hopes of a night free from insomnia. Some male college students were bold and passionate, and would casually chat during breaks. "Teacher, why do you never take off your mask?" "Because I don't look good enough." "Who said you're handsome?" They'll tear their mouths apart. There's no such thing as an unhandsome guy. The young man spoke with genuine sincerity. Even his supporters wore expressions of united indignation. Then Il jumped to the next topic. Then the students started chatting about their own part with them. Then they asked me, "Teacher, what kind of Peru do you keep at home?" I didn't know how to explain my entanglement with Shen Luchu. I could only give a curt reply, "Has dead. I'm sorry." They remained silent for a long time, until the class bell finally rang. Later in our 2 weekly major classes, there were always students who brought me milk. I could never finish all the milk, tea, cake, and chocolate. Then I remembered the beautiful little Baihu Peru who scrounged for trash at school. Baihu Peru had an even more striking look. But the little Baihu Peru at school had many scratches on both sides of his face. Some deep, some shallow. They crisscrossed, and he was afraid of frightening students, so he only came out to move at night. When I left the laboratory at night, I planned to go find little Parushi, but happened to run into Xiaoyu. A figure suddenly darted out, with a fluffy white tail. I whispered, "Little white tiger." Little Peru turned around, bowed his head, and noticed me. He quickly covered his face with his hand. "Brother, I'm sorry. I just came here to take shelter from the rain," I explained. I hadn't expected the autumn rain here to be so bitterly cold. Little Peru was completely soaked. Watching the water drip from him, I said, "I've seen you before. My office has hot water and a dryer. Come up with me and clean up a bit." Little Paru cautiously lowered his hand, nodded gently. "Sorry to trouble you, brother." Once we got into the office, under the bright lights, I realized that little Paru was very young. He was about the same age as my students, around 18 or 19, while little Paru was taking a shower. I went next door and asked a lot about him. My colleague chatted enthusiastically. "That little white fox," he said, "named Lu Ruyan. I heard he used to be very handsome. His owner even wanted to sell him off to the underground black market for that kind of work. Who would have thought he stubbornly refused? He even bit someone and ran away. Later, while escaping, he injured his face. The underground black market people, seeing his face was ruined, beat him up and threw him into the sea. But he was lucky our school students ended up rescuing him. And ever since he's been making a living by picking up trash on campus." "So where does he live?" "There's a shed on the back mountain of the school." My colleague furrowed his brows. "Gu Wen, I heard your Paru died. You don't mean you want to adopt him, do you?" I kept quiet while biting on the straw in my hot milk tea. Then my colleague's voice suddenly rose. "He's so ugly. How could anyone want to adopt him?" His words echoed the teasing my classmates once hurled at me. "He looks so ordinary. How could anyone like him? But on what basis? Clearly, we all have hearts that love and long to be loved." I told my colleague, "Brother Zhang, Yu Rian isn't ugly. He's just been hurt. And he's very kind. And very cute. I've seen with my own eyes him sharing the food he picked up with little beggars off campus. I've also seen him donate money to Peru school. So, please, from now on, don't speak of him like that." Coming out of the coworker's office, I saw Lu Ruyan standing in the corridor, her hair, with the end still wet. Her eyes were filled with tears. I awkwardly changed the subject. "If you're having trouble handling it, I offered you a towel." I dabbed Lu Ruyan's hair, and used a hairdryer to blow off the moisture at the ends, drying it completely. It was the first time I dried Palu's tail. I clumsily made a mistake, and kept apologizing. Liu Ruyan, blushing, said, "It's okay. Thank you so much, brother." After finally getting everything done, I brought the cake and milk tea over to Ruyan, but he didn't accept them. It was as if he had to really summon his courage to speak again. "Brother, I haven't eaten much. Could you take me in?" My hand froze. Lu Ruyan continued, "I know I'm not attractive, but I can cook. Tonight, I'll do the cleaning, and I can give massages and tend to the flowers." I smiled, removed my mask, and met his gaze. "But I'm not attractive either. Would you still choose me?" Liu Ruyan's hand gently caressed my face. "Brother, you're so handsome. I want to go with you." My eyes began to sting. I blinked, holding back my tears. I took Lu Ruyan's hand and left the lab building. The rain had stopped, and I even chose a kindred spirit as family. I adopted Lu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan did exactly as she said, perfectly. She kept the house remarkably tidy, planted flowers in the yard, cooked delicious meals, and delivered them to the lab. Today, even Chuzi was nearly dead. Brother John went over from next door to mooch some food. He picked up his chopsticks and shoveled tomato milk into his mouth. Damn, is little Ruyan's cooking really that tasty? Suddenly I realized that the one at home, besides being cute and acting spoiled, can't do anything else. Actually, Brother Zhang should be content. Because even Shen Yuchu can't cook. Or even act cute and coquettish. Or maybe he just doesn't do it in front of me. I had another nightmare, one that dredged up a memory buried deep in my mind. I dreamed back to when I was 17, when my cousin, wearing camouflage, I took Shen Yuchu to the amusement park, and while we were halfway through having fun, the amusement park was attacked by terrorists, with explosions echoing from all sides. Nikai shielded my cousin, while I grabbed Shen Yuchu and ran out. We ended up at the far eastern edge of the park, but the splintered debris still managed to injure everyone, and the exit was only a few steps away. When suddenly the exit was blown to pieces. I was at the front and didn't notice that during the explosion, Nikai and Shen Yuchu had both lunged toward my cousin. But in the dream I saw it all clearly. I lay alone amidst the rubble, while no one cared, and Nikai along with Shen Yuchu reveled in having protected my cousin so well. I then lapsed into a coma in bed for many days, with my parents and Shen Yuchu comforting my tearful cousin. Some voices were mocking me. "Silence, look, nobody in this world loves you." Echoing from every corner, repeating and enveloping me. My soul, as if floating in the air, cowered with my head in my hands. I pleaded desperately, my voice hoarse. "No, it's not. No, it's not." In a daze, someone grabbed my hand and led me outside, saying, "Brother, it's not that way. Everyone deserves to be loved." I woke up from my dream. The first person I saw was Luo Ruyan. He sat by the bed, anxiously wiping the sweat from my forehead, and he finally let out a sigh of relief. But tears began to flow uncontrollably. I cried as I said, "Liu Ruyan, can you hold me?" Liu Ruyan climbed onto the bed and wrapped me in his arms. I was like a child, pouring out my emotions. Liu Ruyan patted my back and soothed me in a low voice. I didn't have to worry about him saying, like my dad, "Get lost, don't bother me," nor about him casually dismissing me like my mom. and then taking off to play mahjong with money, or even being as indifferent as Shen Lu-chu, coldly staring at me. I said, Lu Ruyan, I want to listen to some music. And Lu Ruyan softly began to sing. Back in my noisy, rebellious childhood, my maternal grandmother would always sing to calm me. Under Lu Ruyan's care, I gradually got better. Today, the sunlight was especially brilliant. Lu Ruyan and I went out to the courtyard to dry our quilts in the sun, and as we did, we ended up playfully fooling around. Someone outside the door called, Ah Yan. I turned around and saw Shen Yu-chu, and the clothes hanger in my hand fell to the ground. Lu Ruyan noticed something off about my mood, and stepped in front of me. I tugged at the hem of his clothes. It's fine, I know him. You go deal with the crabs first, and have a private word with him. We then went to a bench by the seaside, where the sea breeze messily tousled our hair. I managed a small awkward grin, an embarrassed smile. Long time no see. Shen Yu-chu, En Yu-chu, he only asked whose white fox that was. My heart tensed up, wary of the tone in his voice. But he has never exactly treated me well. And what about me? We've already severed our adoptive bond. Are you going to abandon me for that ugly creature? I lost control, and slapped Shen Yu-chu across the face. Don't use that term for Lo Riyan. Shen Yu-chu's eyes were filled with disbelief. Ah Yan, it was you who said it. That you'd never abandon me. But haven't you always wanted the knight's move? I was only trying to help you out. Shen Yu-chu suddenly seemed to realize something, as he grabbed my shoulder and asked, So you did hear it that day, didn't you? And so? Sorry, Shen, Yu-chu clearly wanted to say more. But I didn't want to hear any more. So I got up and left, aimlessly wandering along the beach, when my phone rang with a message from my childhood friend, Xiao Yang. Ah Yan, your cousin is getting married to his palu. Will you come back? It turns out that all of Shen Yu-chu's actions followed a pattern. He just never got his white moonlight. Couldn't snatch away his redemption. Yet couldn't bear to give up taking care of me. How laughable. I walked along the shore for what felt like an eternity, until I finally returned to the little courtyard, where Lu Ruyan's crabs had already been steamed, and he had prepared all my other favorite dishes. Meanwhile, Lu Ruyan paced back and forth in the yard, his hands continuously fidgeting, and the moment he saw me enter, he rushed over and embraced me tightly, with his tail brushing against the hand by my side. Brother, I thought you didn't want me anymore. I patted Lu Ruyan's foxtail, as a way to comfort him. No, you're not unwanted, don't overthink it. But the way that Palu looked at you just now made me very uneasy. And she looks very beautiful. Lu Ruyan's voice got quieter and quieter. Tears were trickling down his cheeks. I raised my hand to touch Lu Ruyan's face. He'll give you a gift, okay? Lu Ruyan's fox ears twitched. I reached out to touch them. Let me touch your ears, and they'll tell you. Lu Ruyan lowered his head, just like my kind did many years ago. I carefully reached out, touching the thing I couldn't have in my youth. I said, Liu Ruyan, your face can be fixed. I've saved enough money. Liu Ruyan paused for a moment. Brother, are you planning to cure me? And then leave with that Palu? I squeezed Liu Ruyan's tail, and leaned close to his ear. I said, Liu Ruyan, when can you fix this bad habit of blindly overthinking? Actually, I know. Liu Ruyan's insecurity stems from low self-esteem. That deep-seated feeling of unworthiness can't be wiped out instantly. So I will give him plenty of security. Liu Ruyan suddenly raised his head and licked my neck for the first time. Unaccustomed, I pushed him away. Why do you canines always like to lick people? Brother, did he lick you too? Liu Ruyan's hand clenched and unclenched, as if he had soothed himself. He spoke again. It's okay, as long as the one by brother's side right now is me. I knocked him on the head. He doesn't let people touch him. He likes my cousin, understand? That night, Liu Ruyan knocked on my bedroom door holding a pillow. Brother, can I sleep with you? I didn't refuse. The foxtail is very warm. The Palu is also very warm. Wrapped inside it, I forgot the unwillingness and struggles of the first half of my life. I didn't go to my cousin's wedding. I just asked Shoyang to send a gift. Shen Yu-chu's appearance seemed like just an illusion. Fortunately, Liu Ruyan's surgery was successful. I looked at him. With that face, I probably understand why his former owner wanted to sell him to the special industry. He truly has that kind of beauty. A pair of shimmering peach blossom eyes, a high nose bridge, and red lips. The stunning beauty previously hidden by scars had returned. But he is too good looking, which makes it look like I'm punching above my weight. Liu Ruyan saw that I was a bit annoyed, and timidly asked, Brother, what's wrong? Is it that I'm not good looking enough? Does brother not like it? I rubbed his ears. No, it's very beautiful. After being discharged, Liu Ruyan still brought me food. Brother Zhang has already reached the point of paying for meals, just to have Liu Ruyan bring him a portion too. Today there were some students in the office. They came to ask if they could join my research group. So Liu Ruyan was surrounded by a crowd as soon as he entered. After Liu Ruyan shyly left, Brother Zhang spoke first. Holy sh*t, is that really the same Liu Ruyan from before? That's unreasonably good looking. With the teacher starting it, the students quickly chimed in. Our Mr. Gu has a sharp eye. Exactly. Ha. Nobody put themselves in Liu Ruyan's shoes. To be taken in and saved when at his lowest. If it were me, I'd pledge my life to Mr. Gu too. Yeah, the adoption fees and surgery must have cost a lot of money. I bumped my eye. I coughed lightly outside the door. The students immediately steered the conversation toward the project topic. Development by the time I got off work. Liu Ruyan was waiting downstairs in her car. Liu Ruyan no longer kept her head down. She would smile. When he smiled, I always felt the light dance across his face. Then it shifted onto my heart, and I became increasingly silent. I never expected to run into Mr. Zhang again. He had just started a small company. He came to our school riding the wave of the autumn recruitment. That day, Liu Ruyan happened to walk with me to work. Jiang Kaoqian looked him over several times, and then he looked me over several times. Oh, isn't this an old classmate? Upgraded to a new pal, huh? Could it be that Shen Yu-chu looked down on you and ditched you? I didn't feel like saying much to Xiang Zuoyan, so I pulled Liu Ruyan aside to avoid him. But Xiang Zuoyan edged right up to Liu Ruyan. Such a beautiful little white fox, he said. Pei Gu Wuyan must have treated you unfairly, right? Liu Ruyan forcefully pushed him away. It's fine, please don't maliciously speculate about other people's relationships, she said. I really like my big brother. Thank you. But Xiang Zutian didn't stop his venomous remarks. What do you mean by malicious speculation? Gu Wuyan, even his own mother doesn't like him. She says he's not good looking. In every way he's inferior to Missouri. Gu Wuyan. He even knows to hide that ugly face behind a mask. What could you possibly like about him? I think you're just after Gu Wuyan's money. The onlookers continued to gather. I felt as if I'd been stripped naked and exposed for public judgment. But in the very next second, Liu Ruyan's fist struck Xiang Zutian. A punch to his face knocked Xiang Zutian down to the ground. Her voice resonated with suppressed anger. I said I like my brother. Don't you understand? Liu Ruyan's fist fell heavily on Xiang Zutian's face. It reminded me of my first struggle on beauty night many years ago. But my mother ended up scolding me. So I questioned whether being unattractive meant I deserved such ridicule. I tried again and again to make peace with myself, only to be dragged once more into this trial of appearance. Struggling, drowning in a sea of inferiority. Then suddenly, a soft little hand grabbed mine tightly. What are you on about? Do you bastard born of a mother but never raised, really think you're handsome? You're nothing special yourself, and yet you still criticize others. More and more voices filled the air. My goodness, this is appearance-based humiliation. What someone looks like has zilch to do with him. Is it because this teacher is just too outstanding? That this bastard is envious of him? He's nothing but a worthless mutt. I have a right to speak. I've been to the lab, and once I caught a glimpse of Teacher Gu's true self, the elder brother from the Lin family, so sunny, has nothing to do with being ugly. I too have been taught by Teacher Gu. He's an amazing person. buying little snacks for his students, being great-natured, well-built. This guy is just spouting baseless rumors. Guys, this has nothing to do with Teacher Gui's real looks. Getting back on topic, randomly criticizing someone's appearance with harsh language. This person is utterly morally bankrupt. Enough with the discussion. Somebody break this up. If Liu Ruyan ends up beating this bastard to death, that wouldn't bode well for her. The guys finally snapped into action and surged forward. The person breaking up the fight even kicks Xiangzu Tian, and the little girl holding my hand shielded me behind her. No, we need to find the boss and get this bastard kicked out. After all these years, Xiangzu Tian and I once again stood together in the office. But this time, I had a group of righteous kids behind me. And Liu Ruyan too. The school leadership reviewed the surveillance footage. After watching, he went out and took a puff of his cigarette. Then he turned back and punched Xiang. The boss said to the staff in charge of vetting companies for the fall recruitment, "You guys are really starving. How is it that you're letting in all kinds of trash? Cancel it. His eligibility is revoked, banning any company under our school from working with him. Kick him out." Xiangzu Tian's ingratiating smile instantly vanished. "What gives you the right to cancel my eligibility? And hitting people, I'm going to sue you." The boss gave him a dismissive glance, giving him the person in charge of this fall recruitment. The school's vice principal. And our school boasts one of the top 3 law schools in the country, plus a legal team that has never lost a case. After saying that, the boss turned around and left, leaving behind a remark, "You're welcome to sue." I wiped away my tears, revived by the kindness surrounding me. At night, Liu Ruyan and I sat on the beach. Wave after wave crashed in, not even reaching our ankles, and then they returned to the sea. I looked up at the sky filled with countless stars. Then I turned to look at Liu Ruyan beside me. He was gazing at me too. I said, "Thank you." Liu Ruyan leaned in towards me and settled next to me. He kissed me for what felt like an eternity. The gentle touch gradually faded, but Liu Ruyan still wouldn't let go. His eyes overflowed with deep affection for me. He said, "Brother, I'm sorry for not being there for you since childhood. Meeting you now is not too late." Liu Ruyan produced a jewelry box from behind him. "Happy birthday, brother." I opened it to reveal a gorgeous necklace. "Where did you get all that money?" "You've given me plenty of money. I made this with my extra money from investments." "You're such a smart little rascal. You earn money, you cook, and you take care of the family. So brother, would you give me a chance?" Liu Ruyan leaned closer to me. His warm breath caressed my neck. He went on, "Brother, I like you. Would you give me a chance to be with you?" I was dumbfounded. I thought that the day we agreed to sleep together, we were already a couple. That night, a little white fox cuddled its beloved tightly, tirelessly licking its lover without pause, its tail nearly turning into a propeller behind it. After Liu Ruyan and I became official, he handed over his little stash of savings to me all at once. Before it ceased to be my personal treasury, I gritted my teeth and bought the small courtyard. I finally took off my mask in class, and the students were clapping and cheering. Some boys even whistled to liven up the atmosphere. And Teacher Gu was the coolest. Life was getting better by the day, but then I once again encountered Shen Yuchu. Shen Yuchu was waiting for me outside the lab building. The moment I got closer, Shen Yuchu handed me a bracelet that had been out of stock for ages. It was the very bracelet my older cousin wore in senior year, a camouflage style he received as a birthday gift. I had been eyeing that bracelet for a long time. I said to Shen Yuchu, "Shen Yuchu, could you give me a birthday present as well? You don't even have to spend any money, even if it's just a drawing. I like it too." But even when I left, I never received a gift from Shen Yuchu. I looked at this long-delayed gift, untouched. I simply asked him, "Shen Yuchu, what do you mean?" Shen Yuchu lowered his head. He spoke in a pleading tone. "Ah, Yan, I've been searching for the things you love for so long. Please don't reject me, okay?" I shook my head. Shen Yuchu rushed over and grabbed my hand. "What's so wrong with that? We've been together for 13 years. Ah, Yan, a full 13 years. I know I neglected you before. After you left, I even went looking for Mazurin. But then I realized I was wrong. My feelings for him were nothing more than that instinctive chase of a predator pursuing its own kind's prey. I don't like him. Ah, Yan, I've always loved you." I shook off Shen Yuchu's hand and demanded an explanation. "But do you know that for 13 years? Apart from the first time I carried you home, and that time when grabbing your tail got it slapped away. This was the first time we had such an intimate encounter." Shen Yuchu was stunned for a moment before, bringing his tail closer to me. "No more, I won't push it away again. Ah, Yan, would you feel it for me? You can touch it however you like." I took a step back. "It's too late. Shen Yuchu is by your side. I really feel so wronged. It's like an icy heart that hasn't hardened, even after 13 years. Every time I think back, I only remember rejection after rejection. And countless acts of indifference." Shen Yuchu said nervously, "I can make it up to you." I shook my head once more. "I already have Liu Ruyan." Shen Yuchu stared down for a long while. His lips twitched. He slowly exhaled a few words. "I don't mind that he exists, but I do care. I want to meet a devoted lover. I also want to be his faithful lover. Shen Yuchu, if only you had told me from the start that you intended to choose your cousin, I wouldn't have stopped you. I even wish you had told me sooner. Then we wouldn't have tormented each other for so many years." I brushed away my tears with the back of my hand, and I smiled at him. "Shen Yuchu, since we couldn't part on good terms, then let's just break up." Liu Ruyan arrived a little late today. At that moment, he stood not far away holding a huge bouquet of roses, pulling Liu Ruyan into my arms. We left. Shen Yuchu followed us all the way. Liu Ruyan asked me, "Brother, why did he come to upset you again?" "No, he just came to say goodbye." Shen Yuchu stood outside the courtyard for 3 days and 3 nights. I had my Kai forcibly bring her younger sister. After she was injected with a sedative, the last thing Shen Yuchu struggled to say was, "Sister, please don't separate Yan and me." Nikai even tried to persuade me. "Honestly, Yuchu truly loves you. He gave you that bracelet, which you spent a long time protecting by hand. But has Shen Yuchu ever truly cherished any of them?" When my Kai left, he was still lamenting. How did it come to this? But some things, people, once missed, are gone forever. After I contacted my Kai, I had already braced myself for my family finding out. I never expected the call to come so soon. It was deep into the night, and I was half asleep. But I was awakened by a ringing sound. I kicked Liu Ruyan. "Didn't I tell you to turn off the ringtone before bed?" Liu Ruyan let go of the hand holding me. She grabbed her phone and shoved it into my hand. "Brother, that's your phone." I've always been awkward. I answered the phone. On the other end, there was a long silence. I asked several times. No one responded. I was about to hang up. Finally, a male voice on the other end said, "Is that Ian?" He carried with him a voice that had echoed in my life for 18 years. My hand trembled. But behind me, I could still feel Liu Ruyan's intense warmth. He silently told me, "Don't be afraid," I told the person on the other end. "Dad, if there's anything, just say it plainly." There was a sigh on the other end. "Your mom's mind is about to leave. He wants to have one last look at you." I've never been able to forgive my mom, yet I couldn't deny the request of a dying person. After ending the call, I sat up. Liu Ruyan also sat up and hugged me. Liu Ruyan didn't speak. He had clearly heard everything. Yet he left the decision entirely up to me. In the end, I did go see my mom. She lay weakly in her hospital bed and said, "I'm sorry," she said, while my dad standing nearby explained, "Ian, your mom heard about the commotion at your school." That's when she learned of his mistake that year. After my mom's spark was extinguished by fear, my dad and I stood in front of her grave. A breeze blew by. I straightened my clothes. Then I spoke. "Dad, I know deep down that mom would never feel regret. She would never see herself as wrong. She was simply dying. She only wanted to trick her son into showing filial piety. Dad, you're the same. You too never think you're wrong. In my senior year, I'd already paid all the support fees in one installment. When I was a child, you never took care of me. So, we should never see each other again. And you always called me stinky kid. Now, stop calling me a young. That sounded so disgusting. It was the first time my dad's eyes didn't show disdain, but sadness. But I turned around and left. After all, Liu Ruyan was still waiting for me to come home. A small seaside courtyard. Liu Ruyan had planted flowers all along the walls and throughout the courtyard. In the spring, in vast stretches, they bloomed into a sea of flowers all for me. On a windy afternoon, Liu Ruyan proposed to me. She said through tears, I was once thrown into the sea and died. After that, Liu Ruyan existed merely as a ghost in this world. Brother, it was your choice. That gave me a second chance at life. I want to spend the rest of my life loving you. Gu Wuyan, will you marry Liu Ruyan? For a lifetime, never to part. I want the ring to be worn on my left middle finger. Liu Ruyan happily looked at the child, reminding me of the hurt the world once inflicted on me. I walked alone for a long time. For a long time, until I finally encountered light. And Liu Ruyan was the brightest ray among them. But after Liu Ruyan got married, many people expressed to me, saying that loving someone is like tending to flowers. They said Liu Ruyan really takes good care of you. I could see firsthand that you were becoming increasingly refined. If Liu Ruyan hears this, she'll take my hand and say, it was Anne who raised it first. Later Liu Ruyan secretly based a character on me and her. She wrote a story. I happened upon it, bought a copy, and left it in the office to browse. On the last page of the book, he wrote, although I desperately hope that everyone only encounters the warmth of the world, but on the path of growing up, everyone inevitably comes across hardship. I hope that after the pain, everyone can embrace a radiant inner voice. I also hope that everyone overwhelmed by appearance anxiety holds their